So every career ladder has a bottom rung, the base entry level that you get in. You start there. You learn the foundational work. You make the junior mistakes. Gradually, through doing the actual work, you build the instincts that make you good at the harder things. Well, AI just removed the bottom rung. Not slowly, not in theory. In the last 18 months, across the educated professional class, the entry point to a career has quietly vanished. Completely just disappeared. It's crazy how the world is changing, and it's really important to evolve because we are going into a new world and it is coming fast. Entry level job postings in the United States are down 35% since early 2023. Some tech and data roles are down as much as 67%. The reason is not a hiring freeze. Companies are still growing. The reason is that the tasks, those roles were built around data entry, first draft reports, basic research, compliance checks, initial analysis, customer service scripting are now handled faster and cheaper by, you guessed it, AI. For the company, CFO looking at a spreadsheet, this looks like efficiency. Headcount down, output maintain, costs reduce, good quarter. I mean, Jack Dorsey laid off, what was it? How many thousands of people, in his quarterly report skyrocketed the valuation. What the spreadsheet doesn't show, those tasks were not just tasks. They were the training ground. They were where someone learned through repetition and failure and correction what good work actually looked like in practice. The output was never just the deliverable. The output was also the person. The output was also the person. I want to say that again. Every data report a junior analyst ran badly and then ran again correctly was not just a report. It was a data point in their own development. Companies just optimized those data points out of existence and called it efficiency. The invoice for that decision arrives in about 5 years. Welcome to the age of AI, and it's taken things, just most people don't. The problem with AI is you have to think exponentially, and humans have we have a problem thinking exponentially. We just do. It's just not the way we're built, unless you're Elon Musk. And everything that AI is coming in and disrupting and doing it's doing it in an exponential way. And that's why people are just getting basically the rug pulled out from under them. Just, whoosh, what? I never thought my job would get taken. I thought that I had security. I thought that I was, the only one that could do it. I spent 20 years basically fine-tuning my craft. Once again, knowledge-based work will get taken by AI. It is what it is. So the human number sitting behind all of this, 43% of U.S. college graduates aged 22 to 27 are currently underemployed. The highest rate since the pandemic. These are not people who couldn't find any work. Underemployed means working in a role that doesn't use the degree they spent 4 years and often significant debt acquiring. A communications graduate working in retail, a finance graduate tempting, a computer science graduate doing data entry, and how many people that have PhDs, college degrees, are waitresses? Right? Until that goes to robots. It's all kind of coming little by little. What kind of a world are we going to see in 5 years? It's very difficult to predict. The group most affected is not the one most people expect. It is not factory workers. It is not truck drivers. The workers most exposed to AI displacement are white-collar professionals earning up to $80,000 a year. The educated class, the people who were told that education was the insurance policy. I remember that I did not want to go to college, and how many of my friends' parents would want to have talks with me about how I was wrong and I was looking at the world differently. And I used to say, I don't think that the traditional way of education, and this is at the beginning of the internet phase, is going to serve me. And I would just say because of the type of person that I am. I did end up going to college for about a year and a half because society, I don't know, society gaslighted me into it until I just said, screw this, I am out, I don't believe it. Best thing I personally ever did. Yeah, so Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, the company that builds Claude, one of the leading AI systems, I use Claude every day, has said publicly that AI could eliminate approximately 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs within a few years. He is not warning about a distant future. He is describing his own product's trajectory. Yes, when you tell people that, you say, knowledge-based jobs are going to be gone. People don't understand what that means. Once again, exponential thought process. If you want to survive in this world of AI, I believe that you have to really understand and be able to visualize exponential everything. And then if you can think exponentially, then you can start to think what you can do or where you can go that'll last the longest, which also means that it's only a matter of time for like most jobs. I mean, I think we're going to find ourselves in a totally different world. You could say the same thing 15 years ago. You could say, what will the internet do? And nobody would have predicted social media influencers, OnlyFans, all this whole entire thing that's basically taken over the entire world. Nobody could have predicted it because it wasn't something that even existed. It wasn't even an idea. And that's where AI is going to take us, but a lot quicker. A lot quicker. And that's the reason why I am doing this channel, is I just want to try to stay on top of it so that I can be flexible, move. And the whole thing about AI is you don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot that you don't know. And there's a lot of things that companies can take advantage of that they don't know. And as soon as they figure it out and learn, poosh, your job is gone. Yeah, so he's describing his own product's trajectory, Anthropic. I find this wording kind of noting. The CEO of the AI company is the one saying half of entry-level white-collar jobs could go. He's not being alarmist. He's being honest about what the technology he is building is capable of. There's a specific kind of credibility to a warning that comes from the person holding the weapon. All right, so here's the part of the story that most companies have not yet fully processed. And that's what I'm really trying to do with this channel, is, I guess, open my eyes and hopefully open other people's eyes at the same time. Because when you're in your day-to-day job routine, you do not see this stuff coming, and it will blindside you. It doesn't matter if you are an owner, an employee, you name it. So, they used to say knowledge is the most important thing. Now it is, I think it's more about awareness of AI. So senior expertise is not something you hire. It is something you grow over years of doing progressively harder work. Making mistakes, learning, nuance, all that kind of stuff, starting from the foundational tasks at the bottom. The instincts that make a senior analyst good, the ability to know when data is telling the wrong story, to spot the assumption buried in the model, to write the recommendation that accounts for the politics of the room, those instincts come from years of doing the junior work first. Researchers call the coming problem the seniority cliff. In 5 to 10 years, and I think it's going to be quicker than that, the current generation of senior professionals retires or moves on. The companies that spent this period automating away their junior pipeline will look around for the people to replace them and find a gap where a generation of trained professionals should have been. The industry is already divided on this. Mark Benoif announced Salesforce, another huge company, would hire no new engineers in 2025. I remember that statement. The CEO of Amazon Web Services called that approach one of the dumbest ideas in the industry. Both men are watching the same data. Both are probably right about different parts of the problem. Yeah, no new engineers. Matt Garman, that's one of the dumbest ideas. Well, two of the most senior people in enterprise technology watching the same market, arriving at opposite conclusions. Yeah, I find this genuinely clarifying, not because one of them is obviously right, but because if two people this close to the data can't agree, the honest answer is that nobody actually knows what the hell is really going on or where it's going, right? Nobody knows. Usually when there's new technology and completely like a new technology comes and disrupts, the big companies and the way they did things get it wrong. And that is why each time there's a new technology that kind of takes over everything, like the internet, and then there was social media, the new companies that come out, they do it their own way, and the big companies that are looking at it get it wrong because they're so set in their ways and the way they think. Which means the solopreneur who plans for both outcomes is playing a smarter game than the one betting everything on one or the other. All right, so we like to look at 3 potential moves, not financial advice, but it's just something to kind of get your mind moving in a direction and start really thinking about things that maybe you're not. So 3 moves for the solopreneur who is paying attention, and usually I cover both sides, right? Whether you're the hirer or the employee. So first, if you hire, redefine what entry level means in your context. The old entry level role, basic research, first draft documents, data compilation, is pretty much gone. The new entry level is someone who can direct AI tools, basically, which is true. I always say, become an AI operator as fast as you can. Evaluate their output and know when to override them. That is a different skill set to hire for and a different way to onboard. Update what you're looking for, or you will keep hiring for a job that no longer exists. Second, if you mentor, the mentees who need you most right now are the ones who can use AI fluently, but have never done the underlying work. They can produce the output. They cannot yet evaluate whether the output is right. That gap is where your experience is irreplaceable. Name it for them explicitly. Yeah, I always say, and I say it over and over, that AI is flipping the script to where it's going to make people with a life of experience extremely valuable because AI does the heavy lifting for you. And previous to AI, it was like the older generation couldn't use computers as well. They didn't know how to use apps as well. They weren't born with a computer in their hand, born with a smartphone and computer, and they learned how to code for a while. You remember hashtag learn to code, basically a hashtag that was just gaslighting anybody that, wasn't tech savvy. Well, you guys are getting screwed now, and the joke's on you because your job becomes irrelevant. And if you haven't built up a lot of life experience in scenarios and expertise in kind of a variety of a lot of different things, you're probably going to suffer. And the older generation, guys like me, and hopefully the people like you watching this, are going to soon realize that you just need to be able to talk to AI, and it's going to get better and better to the point where it does all the heavy lifting. And your lifetime of expertise will become extremely valuable right now. All right, I think I was on third. If you're building your own expertise, understand that the new entry point is AI adjacent, prompt engineering, model evaluation, workflow automation, AI output, quality assurance. These skills are appearing as requirements on job postings that have nothing to do with technology. The person who builds these alongside their core expertise is not competing with AI. They are the person companies now need. They can produce the output, right? They cannot yet evaluate whether the output is right. I'm talking about a lot of the young, quick to it. This is the single most important sentence in the episode for anyone who manages, mentors, or hires people in their 20s right now. A junior analyst who grew up on AI can generate a beautiful formatted financial model in 20 minutes. They may have no idea if the assumptions driving it are reasonable. Your job, if you choose to take it, is to teach them the difference. All right, guys. Yeah, so the bottom rung was never just a job. It was where careers learned to walk. The companies that automated it away gained efficiency in the short term and are building a skills gap they don't yet see. The solopreneur, which we are, and I think that is, you know, I think the corporate thing is going away because you just won't need it. Robots and small staff and AI, you will not need these 1,000-person, 2,000-person structures that are basically layers of knowledge. It's going to be a small team, run the company, AI, and then whatever is needed physically, physical labor and all that. Yeah, so the solopreneur who understands this as a hirer, a mentor, someone building their own path that has an edge that compounds. All right, guys, so we're going to keep coming after these topics and keep digging in. So subscribe and let's see what we dig next, because I use AI a lot for what I'm doing, but I'm trying to basically filter it through my experience as somebody who's owned multiple businesses, who's lived in third world countries, lived in the US, lived in places like California, Hawaii, Las Vegas. I've failed at businesses. I've built successful businesses. And I'm in a part of my life now where I kind of know what I want and like, and I'm stubborn about it. And that's why I do things the way I want to do things. Until the next video, subscribe. Let's get it.